Welcome to Crocs in the Kitchen.
I'm Jessica.
And I am Brian. There's no real easy way to get into this kind of a video. I know we haven't been on posting stuff on YouTube recently. Life has obviously been crazy, especially after we bought the house and, just with all the stuff with Elsie, who is still an amazingly perfect angel of a child, and all that. But last Thursday, something happened with a very good friend of ours, and we have been in South Carolina ever since then.
Yeah, so you guys know probably that of our friend Anthony. We've talked about him several times, and his wife Jennifer. We actually met them through doing this YouTube channel. Anthony eats a predominantly plant-based diet, and he watched our channel, and we connected with him, and then also through him, his wife as well. And we got to know them. I think through very early stages of our channel, we started talking to him a lot, and we became really good friends with him.
Anthony and I instantly clicked as friends because we're both music people, and he is also a man of God and a great worshiper and all of that. And so he and I just instantly clicked on that level. And then our families just kind of got connected even more. Like Anthony and Jennifer became like those friends of ours that we talked with, or Jessica talked to, and I always got the updates, and
yeah,
they became almost like family, you know.
And I know that, so after I was diagnosed in June of 2022 with stage 3 ovarian cancer, just a few months later, we updated you guys on it as well. Jennifer, Anthony's wife Jennifer, was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer in August of 2022. And it was really hard to just kind of put our minds around that. Like, here are two pairs of people, in totally different, like, they live in South Carolina, we live in St. Louis, who connected, and just randomly both of the wives ended up getting, a diagnosis like that within just a couple months of each other. And it was just crazy. In some ways, I felt like I was kind of leading the way a little bit for her, because I had, started chemo a little bit before her, and then I also was the first one to lose my hair and shave my head. And I remember her telling me if Jessica can do it, I can be brave and I can do it. And I just felt like we had that really solidified our connection between me and Jennifer, just going through something that not a lot of people understand. And unfortunately, last Thursday, February 1st, we got the call that Jennifer was not doing very well. She had been in the hospital, and she was in the ICU, and they honestly didn't think she was going to make it through the night. So Friday morning on February 2nd, we decided to make the 12-hour drive down here. We just drove straight here, and
Jessica packed throughout the night. I got sleep, and then we loaded up the car, loaded up Elsie, and drove.
And we were driving knowing that we may not make it in time to say goodbye to her, but we knew that we needed to be here for Anthony and his family in any way that we could, and we just knew that we needed to be close to them, so we just went ahead and drove. After somewhat of a miracle, the doctor didn't want to say the word miracle, of course, but he said medically unexplainable. Jennifer actually kind of rebounded a little bit, and on Friday, while we were driving, we got the update that she was actually doing a little bit better.
Her numbers were getting better.
Yeah, her blood work was getting better and everything like that. And so we were like, okay, this is good, we'll see what happens. And so Saturday morning we went to see her, and we got the privilege of introducing her to our beautiful baby girl. She had been wanting to meet Elsie for a while, and so she got to meet Elsie.
She smiled every time Elsie every time we walked Elsie into the room or rolled her in or whatever, and she was like, let me see the baby, let me see Elsie. And she would just light up in her face. And then Elsie would look at her and she would smile back.
Give that little gummy smile that she's got.
It was honestly just so beautiful watching her interact with Elsie.
And Jennifer was able to like talk to us, and we had actually a couple of days where we were able to, you know, go and visit her, and she knew we were there and all of that. Unfortunately, she ended up taking a turn for the worse early in the week, and this week, because today is Saturday when we're filming this, and she ended up transferring from the ICU into hospice, and at 8 o'clock in the morning this morning on Saturday, February 10th, she did ultimately pass away. And I wanted to make this update, not just because I know like there's probably a handful of you who've been kind of following along with her as well, as we've given you guys some updates on her, like mainly during our live streams and stuff. People have asked about her, but I want to tell you a little bit more about her, and I want to spread the messages she would want us to share, and I also just, through telling you about her a little bit, so, I don't know where to even start, but I will say that she would want us to tell you just to go get checked out, go get your colonoscopy, go, you know, whatever things are due for you health-wise, go do them. What that thing you've been putting off, you might want to, you were going to schedule, you were going to go do XYZ, do it.
Don't push it off.
Do it in her memory, in her honor, and maybe you can save, you know, your life or a loved one. You know, continue to encourage your loved ones to do that stuff as well. And yeah, after everything I've been through with cancer, like obviously I am constantly spreading that, you know, if you feel like there's something in your body going on, get it checked out, ask the questions, push if you feel like you're not getting enough from the doctor, because sometimes I feel like that's the case too, is, you know, there's something going on, but they're not taking it seriously. Push them to take it seriously, because you just never know. Jennifer was 54 years old, so she was, you know, a little bit older than Anthony and Jennifer, a little bit older than us. I'm 38, Brian's 41. That's young. That's such a young life that we have now lost. And I just want you guys I want to encourage everybody out there to just, you know, make sure you're advocating for yourself when it comes to your health. Another thing that's been amazing, being here this last week with the family and seeing so many loved ones come and visit, and even just the staff at the hospital and everything. Like, if anyone who interacted with Jennifer for even just a small amount wanted to, you know, come and wish, you know, when she was moving from ICU to the hospital or to hospice, like wanted to come and see her and all of that. She just impacted so many. And I think one of the things about her that just really struck me, and somebody said it, I don't know if it was Anthony or somebody said it in the recent few days, is she never said a bad word about anybody.
Never.
Ever. Think about that.
Anthony said she never gossiped. She never said an unkind word against anyone. She believed in the statement that people were going to people. And, you know, think about that. Think about the type of person that does that. I mean, I say unkind things all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, oh, geez. I mean, I wish I could be more that. And I wish that, like, I think I've gotten better over the years about not worrying about, you know, gossip and stuff like that, especially when you're on YouTube, because let me tell you, there's gossip trains out there. There's little threads in the interwebs that of people chatting and everything about your life, and you can really get like sucked into that in the comment section and all that. But I feel like to have somebody who's so beautiful that they literally wouldn't say anything bad about anybody else. It's just such a message that I want to spread of just kindness.
Yeah.
You can choose kindness. You can choose not to say bad things about people. You can choose to say, you know what, maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe something bad is going on in their life and making them the way that they are. But I'm just going to focus on me, and I'm going to focus on how I behave. Just all of that, like, it's such an inspiring thing to think about.
Yeah.
And
she made you want to be a better person.
Yeah.
When you interacted with her.
Yeah.
You were like, oh, this is what a kind person is like, and this is what I can aspire to be.
Yeah. And I think that that I feel like everyone who's passed away suddenly becomes the best person ever. Like, isn't that the thing? Like, it's literally, have you ever read like an obituary or anything where it's like, no, this person was the worst person ever? But when I'm telling you, like, Jennifer was like the purest, just nicest, sweetest soul. And her and Anthony have such a beautiful love story together. One of the things that really like connected me to them initially when we first started talking to them was just hearing the love story between them. They met when Anthony was only 18, Jennifer was 21, they were in college, and they got married. Like they were married for almost 32 years. And they're only, so she was only 54, and I guess Anthony is 51.
Yeah,
52.
sounds right.
He might be 52. I don't know.
I
Either way, when you talk about people in their early 50s being married for 30 years, I mean, they got married very young. They have 3 beautiful sons who they just love more than anything in the world, and they built such an amazing family. And they also come from parents who are just love stories of themselves and like have such amazing stories. And Anthony's parents especially, like, I know they went through a lot. His mother had MS, his father was battling cancer and other issues, and Jennifer's parents also were going through health issues. And Anthony and Jennifer basically put aside most of their adult lives to just be caregivers for them. They set aside like, oh, here's dreams and hopes we might have to take care of their parents. And unfortunately, all 4 of their parents passed over the small period from 2020 to 2022, which is just crazy to think. But it's just like, people, when we tell people about them, you almost just don't even believe it because they've just had so much loss. And one of the things that really struck me though was talking to Anthony and hearing how he talked about his sons. It actually, I don't really talk about this with a lot of people, but when Brian and I got married, we were all about like, oh yeah, we're gonna get married, we're gonna have kids, all that. Well, then I kind of was like, ooh, wait, I don't know if I want to have kids. I have all these mental health issues going on. I have all this stuff going on. And as I found my way and navigated through that, over 2020, I had a lot of time to think. I was furloughed from my job, and I had a lot of time to think. And that's when, we started having some of these conversations with Anthony, and just hearing about their family and hearing about the love that they had created by having children made me ultimately decide, I came to Brian, you remember that? I had a conversation with you, and I said, I know this sounds really weird, but I was talking to this random guy on the internet. No.
I had known Anthony for a while after that.
He knew Anthony. But we were having these like spiritual kind of conversations about things, and I just was like, I do want to have children, and I do want that. I want that love.
And I was never gonna like force you or try to coerce you into having kids. I told you from the beginning, it was always your choice, always your decision to do so. And so, but if you later on, I did thank Anthony, being like, "Thank you for having those conversations," and that was before Elsie was even born.
And you think, so that was in 2020, and so you think about like just what an impact some just hearing someone's story could have on your life. It was huge on our lives. And Brian and I then decided, okay, let's do X, Y, and Z. Let's buy a house. Let's try to have children. And then, of course, cancer got like plopped right in the middle of all that. So we kind of did everything out of the order. But here we are now with beautiful Elsie. And the fact that we were able to finally introduce her to Anthony and Jennifer together just meant the world to us, because their story is such a crucial part of me figuring out my whole thing. But anyway. Yeah.
So in November of 2021, after all of these years of chatting with Anthony and Jennifer, we finally got a chance to come down and visit them in South Carolina. And also, I got to check off another state from my list, and I was very happy about that. But we got to come down and visit with them, and we ended up taking them to Charleston, and we got to walk on the beach, and we got to go out to a lovely restaurant that was there, and we just got to spend the day. And you know how you can be friends with somebody online and you're like, oh, that's a good friend of mine. But whenever you actually meet in person, like, it solidifies everything with them. Like, you start to have like these conversations about the stuff that you both enjoy like a lot more. It's like, because you're in close proximity to each other. It was amazing to me, because Anthony and I were sitting in the front seat and Jessica and Jennifer were sitting in the back seat. And we're chatting about whatever it is that we were chatting about up front, music and whatnot. And then like Jessica and Jennifer are chatting about U2 and, the bands that they loved, like, and all of that. And it was like, oh, like it instantly just created that familial bond.
These are our people.
These are our people. Like, this is us. Like, where we hope to be, like, when we get to their age.
Yeah, and I think that one of the big things about doing this channel has been that we've been able to connect with these people all throughout the world, who are like some of our deepest friendships now.
Yeah.
And I think it's because we have this platform, we're able to like put ourselves on the line, and we're just us, and like the people who gravitate toward us and like who we become friends with through the channel, just like, they already know the unfiltered, they know us, like, they know us probably more than like some of our people in our own lives, knew us before we started doing this.
That's true.
And so it's been able to like, to find those connections with people who aren't in our like region, but who are out there and who are just like family to us, has been amazing.
The family that we chose,
yeah.
Because you've always got the family that you're born with, and then you get the family that you choose to, live your lives with.
Yeah.
And Jennifer and Anthony have been such a massive part of that over the last few years.
Yeah.
That this video is really hard to make.
Yeah.
Because now we live in a post Jennifer age, and we just get to live with the impact that she's had on our lives. And hopefully her story can impact the lives of other people who are watching this video as well, or who have been following her journey, like, since we started talking about them and everything.
And she fought so hard.
She kept fighting until the very end.
She fought so hard. Like, I continuously think about the fact that like we both started on this crazy, like, in November of 2021 we were all walking on the beach and like had no idea that inside of me and inside of Jennifer this evil thing was growing, because it was already there then, like November of 2021 easily. And then just a few months later when we got diagnosed, it was like we were starting this battle, and now here I am at this point, but look where she ended up. And like, I know they talk about like survivor's guilt and all that kind of stuff, but it is just such a real like part of anybody who has been dealt such a diagnosis. Like, you're always gonna when you see other people whose story hasn't gone, like mine has obviously gone in a really good direction so far, but then you see that and it just breaks your heart because you just, you almost just want to like trade places with them, and you want to be able to give them more time with their loved ones. But
Jennifer would have flat out traded her life for yours, and you know it.
I know. And that's crazy. But yeah, she's just like, she just fought so hard. I mean, they were doing chemo every 2 weeks at the beginning. Like, when they started her out, it was like this really aggressive thing, and she never complained. She never once complained. Like, she never said, why me? She never, any of that, ever. And just such a strong person. But one of the other reasons that we wanted to come on here, and I know everyone's like weird about GoFundMe and that, whatever, like not everyone, some people are, whatever. But I'm telling you, this family, like, if there's anything we can do to honor her memory, I feel like just blessing the Gravley family with anything that, if you guys are able to donate, if you're not able to donate, like, totally fine. We're not pressuring anybody to donate, but if you are able to donate, this whole situation has put such a financial burden on them.
Yeah.
And I know that Jennifer would be at peace just knowing like that burden of the financial part of it was lifted a little bit. They both were teachers at the same school actually, and both had to leave their jobs to focus on Jennifer's recovery, like focus on, her treatment and her chemo and all that. And so Anthony's going to be transitioning back into like looking for employment again. They've got like huge, the funeral costs are just insane. Like, I was looking at itemized list of stuff from the funeral homes the other day with him, and it's just like, none of that, like, it's just, there's a lot of expenses there. They still have a lot of medical expenses that they'll be paying for, because it's like, they have insurance, but there's not a lot, like, just when I say that they're going to need some help, they really, really are. And we wouldn't be like putting this out there if they weren't, but I went ahead and started a GoFundMe for them. They've had one that's been ongoing, but I kind of felt like it might be nice to end that one and like start a new chapter with this, new chapter that they're starting in their lives. So anything that you guys can give to, like $1 helps, anything helps at all. But again, if you're not able to, prayers are more than welcome. Or just go and, take some of the stuff that we've said about her and just implant that into your life, because it will all help. But we would greatly appreciate it, and we will include the link to the GoFundMe below. We are doing anything and everything we can to help out the family as well, but we definitely appreciate if anyone is able to give.
But I think that's pretty much it for this one. I can say this, that Jennifer would tell you to go and hold on to your loved ones. Tell them you love them. And just try to spread more love in this world and be kind. And so I think we can say goodbye on this one.